All right. Hey, everyone. Welcome to the Tellor Tech Talk. So this is not a community call. This one's no AMA at the end of this one. But July 21st, 2020. So it's moving along. It's been another exciting week. I'm sure we'll get a lot more views on this video just because the price had another awesome weekend. For some reason, weekends are very popular for oracles. Anyway, thanks everyone for coming. First, just kind of some quick announcements, just to tell you what we've been up to, some events and things like that. So first off, as you guys know, V2 is out for an audit. We got the preliminary report back and things look really clean, which is really exciting. So there's a few changes we're going to be making. A lot of it's mainly cosmetic, things that we can fix up to just help increase the security even farther beyond there. So, but it looks really good. Everything's coming along nicely. So we'll be sending that back at the end of this week, hopefully beginning of next week, and then get back a final sort of green light. Hopefully beginning of August is our timeline. And then we'll test on RinkB, do an update on RinkB, make sure everything works. And then we'll be off to the V2 races. In addition, we're also working on the V2 miner. If you are a miner, reach out to me if you want to test it. If you're not a miner, or if you were formerly a miner, now might be a good time to get back into it. So with the upgrade, what's going to happen is every miner will now only be able to mine one value per hour. So as you know, we're moving to 5-minute blocks. So 5-minute blocks and 5 miners, and then there's going to be 12 different blocks. So that will require 60 miners to mine every block in an hour. We don't have 60 miners currently staked. And the way that it works, you're like, hey, Nick, well, I couldn't compete at proof of work anyway. Well, in V2, in order to prevent miners from being able to spam the network by increasing the difficulty too fast, if it's been 15 minutes since the last new value, the difficulty is 1. So whoever submits the solution gets it. So it's just like a gas race on the Ethereum network. And this prevents the network from slowing down too much. So I fully expect you to be able to mine a few blocks. You'll probably be able to do that. So if you want to spin it up, give it a try for a week or two, see if you get any, especially if you're holding on to 1,000 tokens. So I see one smiley face out there. Other things, so we're working hard on those. We're also, we're looking for help as far as working. There's some integrations we want to get done, and there's also some other just code updates. So if you're a developer and you're looking for work, reach out to us. If we're even willing, if you want to do an independent audit of the Tellor system and you want some TRB, especially if you were going to be looking into that. I know some of the best audits we had from version 1 were just community members literally going through the code and finding, hey, this was even typos and little things like that. So if you're going to do that, like I'll give you some TRB for doing that. Somebody asked, does being a Java developer work? And I don't, if you're willing to learn a new language. Yeah, so right now we use Solidity, some JavaScript for some front-end stuff, and Golang for the miner. So if you're willing to learn kind of one of those languages, it's definitely where you can be the most help to us, or for some more advanced research stuff, maybe just some peer-to-peer stuff. So, but yeah, nothing in Java at the moment, but I think if you know Java, it's probably pretty easy for you to switch over. So yeah, those are the big ones. As far as events go, Mike, anything more?
No, I covered the events last week. There's nothing new to announce other than the buy box listing. I don't know if we actually formally announced that on the chat last week. Probably not, but we tweeted about it. So we're up on buy box for the last few days. We also got listed on an exchange called Bitfinian, but there's no liquidity on that yet.
Cool guys,
they're a brand new exchange. Yeah, no, it's a slick exchange. So give them a look. check out BuyBox, and yeah, that's pretty much it in terms of news.
Cool. Yeah, and then we're also still doing the Unitize hackathon. So if you guys are hackers and you want to take part in that,
Still plenty of time.
it's up over on Gitcoin. So we've got some few people taking
Yeah.
part. So definitely reach out to us. But yeah, so on to today's talk. So we're all gonna kind of take turns chatting here. We had actually we were planning on doing one of these, and then we got a request from one of our community members. Shout out to Paul. He had said, like, if you're just a token holder, or you're just coming in and you're new to the community, what do you do? Like, especially for people who are part of many crypto communities and they don't know what to do. You know, like, how can you add value to Tellor? How can you be a good member of the community, and what's our ask of you? And so we're just going to go over some of those things. Some of them are much more, these are just basic things, and then other ones we'll get into. You know, I'll share my screen with you guys, and we can walk through doing some things on some of our new front ends. So yeah, with that said, who's doing the first one? Brenda, Mike?
I'll start. So the first thing you guys can do, this is probably the easiest and something everybody's more than capable of doing, and it'll have network effects, is supporting our social accounts. So we have a Twitter. Like and retweet everything that we put out. There's already several of you that do a lot of this, so I'm not talking about you guys, and thanks for all of that. But support our Twitter. We have a Medium account where we put all our articles, and so they have clappy hands or whatever you call it. So clap. Go through. You can go through all of our articles, and you hold the button down. Not just one clap. You can do up to 50. So hold the button down, give us claps, share the articles, join our Discord. If you're just on Telegram, join our Discord. You can subscribe to our quarterly, subscribe to our Medium account as well, and sign up for our newsletter on our website.
And YouTube, subscribe
and
on
YouTube. That's right, because all these end up on YouTube. So we don't really have a huge YouTube channel. It's more of a repository for this kind of stuff, but who knows? It can evolve into that. And so, yeah, so just subscribe to all these things. It goes a long way, and it's just a no-brainer, easy thing to do. So,
yeah.
Next thing.
The second thing you guys can do, I guess, is just basically educate the community. For us to be able to provide the services that we want to provide, we need a community that wants decentralization and that understands why it's important. So anything that you can do to further that, promote Tellor and just decentralization in general, is going to help us continue to, be in the space in the long run. I think that's all I'll say about education.
Yep. Which the only thing I'll add to that is you guys have to educate yourselves too. And we obviously try to, we provide articles and we do these things all the time. But go back and reread some of our older stuff, or just make sure that you're as familiar. You probably should do that anyway as an investor, but the more you guys understand us and why we do what we do, the better it is for our whole community, because we can't do it alone.
Yeah, I think too, like what we mean by education. So, who are you educating? So a lot of the times it'll be projects themselves. So some of the biggest things, the reasons why you would use Tellor and not a Chainlink or not build your own Oracle. It's why do you like decentralization? So, in the same way, like if your friend was building a finance app, and he was saying, like, why would he ever use Ethereum? Like Ethereum it's going to take you 10 seconds to update a database, and it costs money, and it's slow and expensive. In the same way, Tellor is probably slower and hopefully in the future more expensive than using, say, a Chainlink, where it's just a whitelisted service. And the reason that you would want to do that is because you value censorship resistance. You know that at some point somebody may try and shut these things down. And that's why you're building these things, is so that way they can't be shut down. That's why you're building it on Ethereum, and that's why you would use Tellor. because nobody can shut it down. So just sort of educating yourselves, like why decentralization is more important than speed. Why, if you have a mindset where you're okay having a centralized admin in control of your Oracle, why that's dangerous. So just telling people about it, telling people, hey, a lot of these DeFi projects that aren't doing, they're not doing things properly. They should update their Tellor. They should update their Oracle to Tellor. So,
yeah, we want to turn all you guys into really opinionated supporters of the cause here. So, we're getting some questions in the chat. I don't know.
Yeah, I can answer them quick. So a question. The prices on prices.tellorscan.com have multiple price points. So I'm going to go over prices.tellor, that website later. So I can wait for there. But the long story short is some of those prices haven't been updated in a very long time. So, or I don't know if ever. So, we have 51 request IDs. So that would be the difference. And then somebody else asked, how many data sources is Tellor pulling in for the price of BTC? And this goes back to it's up to the miner how many data sources. We just want a valid price of Bitcoin. You can pull in a median of 10 exchanges. You can pull in one exchange. It's up to anybody to dispute you if you don't post a valid price of Bitcoin. It's more of a abstract price of Bitcoin, if you will.
Good question, though, and we think that the abstract doesn't take away from accuracy. It's not even, it sort of augments it. It's not even about accuracy. It's about
because if you, let's say the data
source of truth is.
Yeah, the data source. If you're like, hey, you have to put the price of Coinbase on chain. The problem with that is now Coinbase can censor your Oracle. Mm-hmm. They can just stop updating their API, and then your miners go down. And you don't want that. You want a price of Bitcoin. That's all you really want. So it's more of what the community.
It's a small way of decentralizing an API for the current system.
Yeah.
I guess.
Okay, so the next thing that you guys can do as token holders or hodlers is help us moderate, and I use that term loosely. It's more about being a welcoming community to people that join our Telegram or our Discord, or even tweets that people tweet at us about. Just being active and engaged and welcoming and responding and answering questions. There are definitely a number of people that have been amazing at this in our chat, and so we're super grateful. And I hope that you guys follow their leadership and their example. And don't be afraid to try to chime in. Don't rely on the regulars, because they might who knows, they might lead the community, and we need somebody to sort of pick up where they left off. So the more the merrier in that regard. And it really, I'm sure all you guys know what it's like to join a new Telegram group for a coin that you heard of, and it's different when you show up and you feel welcomed and you can get questions answered and you're not treated like a dummy or something like that. And so we certainly don't think that that's the kind of community we have. And so this is sort of like me just saying, keep it up. But it's something that's really important, and it goes a long way to sort of turn a newcomer into a longtime holder and part of our community. So yeah.
Yeah, and also some of you are really good at this, but we're all, as you know, we're all in the same location, East Coast time. We generally do not have Telegram on early in the night. So if you are not East Coast time or you live on the other side of the world, helping us moderate it at night is very, very helpful, because a lot of times we'll wake up to 100 questions or something like that, and
yeah,
it's definitely helpful whenever people who can either night owls or you live in a different part of the world.
Yeah, and even if we hire a an Eastern or a moderator on the other side of the world to do that, it's still more than just a one-man job.
Yeah, those messages.
Just ask Alari right now. This guy.
Yeah, just reading every message on Telegram is a full-time job. So.
Yeah.
Continue.
next on our list? Outreach. Oh yeah. Well, everybody is always asking us about, marketing outreach. Who's going to be the next one to be implemented, or what are we doing? And we do reach out to a lot of projects, but by the same token, we need you guys to do it as well. You guys probably find out about new projects a lot faster than the three of us. And if you find out, just outreach, just make sure that, that you tell them who we are, what we're doing. Yeah.
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 Yeah, keep us informed. We've had a number of people that have reached out to us and said, "Hey, have you heard about this project or that project?" And it's really helped. It's not like we rely on that, but we've had leads come from you guys that have been really great. So don't think that just because you have a small bag of TRB, you can't be a help to, like, a really great help by connecting us with somebody.
Yeah, so usually, and I'll just point out like what projects we're looking for. So bigger projects, most of the bigger projects we've talked to. But that doesn't, you can still try and intro us if you have a unique connection there. But usually it's the smaller projects that are looking to build with an Oracle. And the ones that we really like are, if you know that they need a price feed, especially a cryptocurrency price feed, like that's perfect.
Piggybacking on that, here's what you can do for those of you guys that maybe aren't experienced with doing some research on these projects. But a real quick and easy way is to find their white paper or their documentation and then just do a search for the word Oracle or price feed and see if it shows up at all in any of the documents. And if it does, it's a good sign, and it'll probably explain what they do and if they need a price feed. And that's a really great indicator that a conversation with Tellor is probably prudent.
Yeah, because like a lot of sometimes, and we're also on Ethereum. We still like talking to projects outside of Ethereum, but it's not as much of a home run as if it's on Ethereum. Talking to other layer ones, whether, like those are always good to stay up in the space, but, at the same time, like moving Tellor to a different chain is sort of secondary to getting users and other things, like if you're introducing us to a wallet, like a wallet doesn't need an Oracle, they can sort of support Tellor. So, those would sort of come secondary to the primary thing is DeFi applications, people who want to read prices on top of Ethereum specifically. So, yeah.
And everything we've mentioned so far sort of is under the umbrella, or you could be included in sort of the marketing term. So don't underestimate your ability to really help us market. And a lot of times, coming from somebody in the community, if you share Tellor with a project or you share Tellor with another investor, it's almost a better signal coming from you guys than it is coming from us. So really comes down to not being afraid to share the good news about Tellor as often as you can. I know a lot of you guys are doing that, but for those that are new, don't be afraid to say, hey, have you heard about Tellor, or have you guys looked into Tellor? There's a number of people that have found us that way. And so, keep that up.
Cool.
And lastly,
well, also with exchanges too. So people also introduce us to exchanges. We wanted to talk about this one. Yeah. Don't, as most of you know, so we're not really on any big exchanges. We're on DEXs. We love DEXs, and the reason is that the people who go on DEXs to buy coins are generally better. They're just better people than the people who buy on centralized exchanges. So, if you want to introduce us to an exchange, most of the big centralized exchanges have big listing fees, which we don't really pay. but don't introduce us to an exchange because you want the token price to go up. Introduce us to an exchange because you use that exchange and you genuinely want Tellor to be listed on that exchange. That's, those are the exchanges we want, because we want to find things that people actually use, and then we'll work harder to get on there. So yeah, we'll just answer those at the end.
Okay, so for those of you guys, there's about 3 or 4 questions we haven't gotten to in the chat.
We'll just answer them near the end,
because
they're not related. So
we have an agenda today.
Brenda, next one.
Join the community calls. This is how you're going to find out most of the information about us, what's going on a weekly basis. So just by joining, you're going to learn more about our project. You're going to be able to do more outreach for us because you understand how we work better. So just join us every Tuesday, or them every Tuesday if I'm not here.
Yeah, and if you can't join, watch it.
Yep.
That way you're up to date. We do our best to do these every week so that you guys are up to date, but you have to watch. I mean, it's self-explanatory, but we appreciate it. We know you guys are all busy people. Cool.
All right, so
now for the advanced users, or advanced holders.
Advanced holders. The first one. So I'm going to share my screen here. It's always like such a nervous wreck, like whenever you share a screen. Can you guys? I don't know if you guys can see or not, but can somebody give me a thumbs up in the chat?
Yeah, you can see it.
Okay. Oh, Mike's in. So, so the first thing. You can come to the Tellor Bounties program. This is what I was talking about earlier. Are you a developer? Do you want something? We have a lot of these builds, a lot of these hacks. Do you want to build your own stablecoin? Do you want to build your own derivatives project? We can help support you doing that. Do you want to do things like, you can help us with the miner upgrade. You can help us with just testing some of these things. These are all just basic coding things, but there's also some fun ones in there. So if you want to do some research for us, we're implementing a peer-to-peer network for the miner. You want to help us with that?
Sorry. I don't know how to shut it.
Just mute.
And then
There you go.
other things that you can do. We're looking at implementing ourselves on other chains. If you're specifically good with other chains, you can implement us on that. And then the other thing with the bounties, you don't have to be a coder. If you want to make a video about using Tellor, if you want to write an article on Tellor's security, you want to, any of those things, definitely reach out.
Even an article of your own idea.
Yeah, I mean, with any of these bounties, if you want to build something and you want to use Tellor, or you want to update the code in some way, reach out to us, give us a price, and we'll pay you. We want people to start working on it. So that's what, if everybody did all these things, it would be 23 grand. So we're spending a little bit of money on these, and we're willing to pay you guys for them.
I think you mentioned last week, somebody asked about these bounties, and I think it's worth repeating that these aren't bounties of things that we can't do ourselves, or that if no one is doing them, then we're not reaching our milestones. These are kind of things that would be nice to have, and we kind of want to give you guys a chance to earn more TRB and contribute more. Because the more that we have community generated product, whether it's development or articles or videos, I think it's the better. It's like part of our vision for the Tellor community. It's
yeah, because you could always, some people have asked, like, why don't you just pay a contractor to do all these?
Yeah.
And like writing an article on Tellor security, sure, you could pay a contractor to do that, but it means so much more when it comes from a community member. It means it's usually much better. Either just doing it ourselves, doing it with you guys. It's awesome whenever there's multiple ones. If you think about Ethereum as a chain and how it's sort of evolved, the tools that are built on it, the content that's written, the tutorials, they're not the ETH Foundation paying people to do it. It's community members. It's grant based, and that's how you sort of build an ecosystem, and that's what we're trying to do as well. The next thing you can do as far as being an advanced user, run a miner. I talked about that at the beginning, but now if you actually want to compete at mining, if you don't know what mining is, this is not the coin for you. It's really, really hard at the moment. You got to be like an FPGA or GPU powerhouse. But if you are, you know someone who is, hop on board at mining. Okay, next few things. So we're going to show you our new front ends. //prices.tellor. It's like you guys can see all my searches. So the first one, so this is prices.tellorscan. And so these are fun. This is the first, you can see all of the current prices that Tellor has updates on. So the current ETH US dollar price, 239, Bitcoin US dollar. So we just built this. So it's a very new tool. But the way that it works is, let's say you want, the reason that say like this Bitcoin US dollar price might be off from this one is that say one, so this Bitcoin US dollar price I know, and it's not shown here, but this one is a 24-hour average. And the way that you can refresh them, so say it looks off, you can come over here and you can add a tip. And first it's going to ask me to connect. And then you can add a tip. So you can send like the amount of TRB that you want to tip it. So 1 TRB, and then you can click submit, and then it will go and request it. So I'm not going to request it now, but that's how you do it. And then if you're a user of Tellor, you can come and add a tip. Obviously, this is, if you're a user, you can show people this. You can show it's that easy to say request an update to the contract. But what we can actually use your help doing. So if you guys know how Tellor security works, you have miners who submit the price values, and then anyone is allowed to dispute those prices that are put on chain. And basically, if we take 5 submissions from the miners and the median is the official value, any of them can be disputed. And you might say, well, how on earth do I dispute them? And that's, since you don't have to run your own code, we built a dispute center for doing this. So you can look at, so these are all the recent ones. Mainly Bitcoin US dollar has been mined for the past hour. You can come here and you can click it. So these were the 5 different submissions. You can see they're all, the median is the official value. So this is multiplied by some granularity. So divided by like 1 million. And they all look like valid prices of Bitcoin. I don't think these need to be disputed.
Should you explain why the granularity is necessary?
Well, it's just so if you, for those who aren't devs on Ethereum, there's no decimal points on Ethereum. So if you wanted, say like Bitcoin was, you know, 10,050 cents, you would have to have like, you know, you would just take this and then divide it by, yeah, you guys know how it works. Anyway, if one of these was off, so it would usually be one on the edges here, because the median one is likely going to be correct. So say like one person, the miner slipped up, this has happened before, and they submit like a 0 value. So just, they say, oh, it would be this guy. The Bitcoin price is 0. Well, that's obviously would be wrong. The Bitcoin price is not 0. And you could come and you would dispute him. So you click here. And right now it costs 820 TRB to dispute a value. Now that's a lot of TRB, we know. But the problem is that you don't want people to just be able to dispute all of the values and keep good values off of the network very cheaply. But you get this back. So if it is a good dispute, what happens is it takes your TRB and then it goes to a week-long vote. And then after the week-long vote, if it was a valid dispute, your TRB that you submitted here will come back to you, as well as the 1,000 TRB that the miner has staked. So the miner would lose his stake. If, however, you lied, you were just trying to grief the miner, he would get that fee. So it's a pretty cool system in how it works, and Tellor security really depends on you guys making sure that these stay up to date. So we do have automated ones available. So if you want to run some code, you can go run the mining code and automate doing this. Or if you just want to keep an eye out during some turbulent times, you can come in here and look at some values. You know, if you expect an upgrade's going to happen, or you expect somebody might be trying to attack the network, you can come and dispute them. And this is a very important part. And then what happens whenever they get disputed? You're like, well, I'm probably not going to catch anybody, but what do I do there? Well, you can come over to the disputes, and then right now there's no open disputes. But what would happen is it would look just like this, but you would actually be able to vote whether it was a good dispute or a bad dispute. And we need your guys' help doing that. So it's a token weighted voting. So we vote as a team with our wallet, but we want as many people voting as possible because that's what makes Tellor secure. So when we actually have some disputes, yeah, you'll be able to see and vote on them. So that's kind of all that you can use here, but hopefully it was a nice little walkthrough for you guys. Yeah, so I'm gonna stop sharing now. Anyway. And I think, so what else, Mike?
Oh, last but not least, this is the most important, meme generation. You know, this is something required in all crypto, and I think we've really stepped up our game there, but we don't want to lose our foothold. We have to go toe to toe with you know who. And so yeah, keep the meme game strong. We always appreciate it. We think it's fun, and we pay attention, and we love when we get DMs of certain memes. And I guess the community favorite Joey's been doing an amazing job, and Mandalf is doing really well. So yeah, share some memes, keep them creative, keep them fresh. Include Brenda in all of them. So anyway, we love to see that, and we appreciate it. So keep it.
Anything else? Are you gonna have the last one? Or?
There's nothing.
Okay. Well, I think the last one is just, you know, from me. Over the next few months, we're fingers crossed we'll be announcing some users, and people will start using Tellor, and it's going to be really important for you guys to use them. You know, the key to sort of Tellor being successful is the people that use Tellor become successful. So as people start integrating with Tellor, making sure that they get used when they use Tellor, and people value decentralization. Those are going to be important, and we'll be pushing it on you guys.
Yeah. Just know that, you know, the people that we do work with, I mean, that'll be a strong indication, I think, for the quality of that project as well. And so if you think we're worth supporting, then the projects we work with are also worth that as well. All right, so we got, I think it starts with that quintillion token figure. We love this question. Yeah, you want to explain that nuance, Ethereum quirk? With that,
so the quintillion token figure on Etherscan, it's just how we minted, how we coded up things. So you could either just mint from zero to say like, so every block you either start at zero and then you mint a new token. That's also infinite supply. Or you could start with the biggest number on Ethereum and just transfer them out of the wallet. So it's the exact same thing. So yeah,
we don't have access to that. Like that's just, you know, just to clarify, we can't access that.
And hackers can't hack into it. It's not like some smart contract that you know, has some key that somebody could steal from us and get access to these tokens. It doesn't work that way. I know it looks weird. I don't know why it's up on our token address, but there is another link that I think I might change. It's not technically our token address link on our website, but hold on one second, I can find it and share it with the chat. Where's your token address? So if you click our token address, that's when you'll see that crazy number. But there's something called the on Etherscan the token tracker page, which is just it's more accurate. It shows the appropriate total supply under total supply. It has our social profile links. This should be the main page that you go on Etherscan and see. So I'll change, maybe if I change the link on our website, people won't come across that quintillion number, and it won't be.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah, well, the one on the website is the actual contract number. I mean, the contract address. If they just go to Etherscan and click on Tellor Tributes, the tracker, that should take them to that page that actually tells you what the supply is.
Yeah, it's Etherscan/token and then the token address, and it takes you to the token page, which is it doesn't have that quintillion number. Cool. But thanks for asking again.
If Tellor has less miners than Chainlink has nodes, would you still consider it more decentralized? Hell yeah. This is like, so Chainlink nodes are all whitelisted by Chainlink. So there's literally, I would consider it like they have one, just because you have nodes and it's not a scale like that. You can have a million whitelisted parties. Like that doesn't, if you had everyone on Facebook report a price, does that make it decentralized? It's like, no, because Facebook could at any point just shut down their servers and take them offline. So, the fact that Tellor has miners, anybody can become a miner, anybody can take part in mining, and there's no way to kick them off of mining without losing a whole bunch of money. So, yeah, that's why it's actually decentralized. You could theoretically just have 3 nodes and be decentralized, way more decentralized than even if you had 1,000 nodes that were all sort of whitelisted and KYC'd. So
it's not. I mean, one way to think about decentralization is being widespread and distributed.
And the censorship part of it is the biggest thing to take note of it. If it can be censored, then it's probably not decentralized.
Yeah. Well, what's the bad thing about centralization? Is that a central entity can censor and it can gatekeep and it could be corrupt and all those things. So it's like, is your system resistant to those centralized effects? That's what makes.
You could say they're more distributed.
Yes, they're more distributed. But is it really more distributed if still one person really controls it all? It might look more distributed on its surface.
Well, I mean, you use that like if you in like distributed computing, that it's still centralized, but it's like this is distributed, paralyzed. Yeah. So. Next one, do you plan to add data sources for non-crypto assets as well? Synthetics has a compelling case for creating assets mimicking stocks and commodities. Tellor could be a first mover. Yeah, we added a gold price recently, so super exciting there. Yeah, I think we're definitely open to adding some in the future. So yeah, we're playing around with a gold price for the past month, and then we'll be playing around with more in the future. Binance Labs invest in Tellor. Does it help in listing? Not really. They're sort of 2 separate entities. So Binance Labs is Binance, but then like you have to go through Binance, the exchange people, which isn't the Binance US people, which isn't CZ. It's like, yeah, the whole Binance company structure is still confusing to me, no matter how much I interact with them.
I'm sure it helps, but they have their own motives completely. So.
Since you talk to most of the big projects, how do they feel about using multiple oracles? Yeah, good, I guess.
I think the biggest thing for them is a lot of them are just trying to get things out the door, I think, at the beginning. And then now that they're considering, I feel like they are considering multiple oracles just because, not just Black Thursday, but just in general, it's good practice to not just depend on one data source. The biggest thing that they've been doing is basically implementing their own oracles. And then when they try to upgrade, it's hard for them to, slow down, because when they're the only oracle, they trust themselves. So they can do a faster UX, user experience. But then when they're trying to upgrade to actually decentralize, they see that they're going to be losing some of that. And I think that's that's some of the biggest things that I've heard from them. And it's hard because then it's like, well, we were this fast. Now it looks like we're going backwards, but because we're not as fast, but we are more decentralized. And it's also a big lift in terms of code, because once you do an audit, and then you have to go through another audit, but you're going to change a lot of what you did at the beginning, or you're going to add a lot more. So yeah, it's growing pains.
And long story short, that's actually why we like intros to early projects that have not launched yet much better. It's so much easier if you think about Oracle design from the beginning and how to best do it. It makes it easier because a lot of these projects sort of they build what they want and then they try and find an Oracle that fits with their design, and that's really hard. You should be thinking about best practices for Oracles from the beginning. So that is it for questions. Oh, we have another question right at the last minute. In the case of multiple Oracles, would there be a market for an aggregator of Oracles? Sound weird, but for data validation, sure. Yeah, I think that you will see aggregators in different pieces going forward. So,
yeah. And actually, the ADO, I feel like, could have been, or the EIP 2360.
Yeah, I think you'll see it in the future. It just might take some time. There's not a whole lot of Oracles launched at the moment.
Right. I think that's the biggest problem.
And Mike, last question. Who plays the banjo?
Probably the guy with the banjo on his shirt.
Yes, we have the
behind.
banjo and the guitar in the background. So.
That is me.
Anyway.
Also, my name is Banjoski. It's another tell.
Thanks everyone for coming. Feel free to reach out. Link the video when I post it. So talk to you guys later. Cool.